Welcome to the 63rd episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we are bringing you the first half of our fall 2018 season first impressions based on the first few weeks of the shows that have aired. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to listen to a couple of the specific shows. And because we'll just spoil everything like always. My name is Leo, and I am proud to announce that now that a High Dive has teamed up with VRV, my favorite show, Doreiku, will now reach a much wider audience. Also with me are Kat and Bcom.
Hey, well, good for you, Leo.
Yay!
Yeah,
the silver lining to that.
Now I have to get a headset.
High Dive VRV partnership. Doreiku on all of the TV screens, all of the consoles.
Oh God.
Is it funny that was like the first thing I thought of when I heard that High Dive was teaming up with VRV?
I'm not surprised.
It's like immediately I was like, oh, Doreiku everywhere, great.
When I read the intro, I was like, I should have saw this coming. Knew it was going to happen.
How's everybody doing at this start of the fall 2018 season?
Surviving the large amount of shows we watch at the beginning.
Yeah, really.
Well, we're only covering half of them today, so it's not that bad.
Thank God.
There are a lot. It seemed like there weren't that many when we first picked up fall, and I was like, well, actually, there are a lot of shows.
There are always a lot of shows. There's never a time when there aren't a lot of shows. That's the secret, Bcom.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we might as well kick it off. Well, we're starting with Sundays because we usually start with Mondays, but the way it balanced out, starting with Sundays, made the two podcasts we're going to do for impressions balance out better. So
cool.
The first show we have is Double Decker, Doug and Kirill.
A good one to start off on.
Yeah. Which is airing on Crunchyroll. This one was weird. It premiered September 2nd on Crunchyroll, which was way early.
Yeah.
But then the second episode came out the 30th, so that was more in line with the rest of the start of the season.
It's probably just a little preview, trying to get people interested.
Yeah. The first episode was really good too, and it was a good preview. It's an original anime from Studio Sunrise, who have all that Love Live and Gundam money to throw around.
Yeah, that sweet Gundam money.
Oh yeah. The director, Joji Furuta, has worked on Mangaka Santo Assistant-san, also the Seven Deadly Sins Revival of the Commandments, Saint Seiya Soul of Gold, and Uta no Prince-sama Season 4. So, I haven't seen any of those things.
Neither have I.
So, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this show so far?
Let me give a little short and sweet synopsis really quick. So,
sure.
This is about what this anime is. So the city-state Lisvaleta, however you want to pronounce that, has a problem in the form of a drug called Anthem that removes your natural limiters and can also cause mutations, resulting in gaining something akin to a little bit of a superpower, kind of like mutants or something. Kirill, who ends up joining a team of detectives called 7-0, that only specialize in cases of Anthem when it has went all the way to phase 3 and the individual has mutated. That's basically what it's about. It's just following Kirill around once he's joined the 7-0 and meeting these bad guys. So I actually laughed quite a few times. They would just do something that would make me chuckle. There was one part where the girl with the pink hair, Deanna, she just cusses out their boss. I just laughed. I was like, I like you.
I really like all of the characters.
Yeah, they're cool.
Kirill Rubik, yeah, he's this young detective with a girly face. They constantly say that he has a girly face. It's kind of funny.
He does have a girly face, though. At some point in this anime, I fully expect that he will be in drag, because that's the way a lot of these shows go, with the girly protagonist.
Yeah. He became a cop to search for his sister, who apparently disappeared 10 years ago. And he's hell-bent on becoming a hero who is strong enough to protect his sister when he finds her. Mm-hmm. And then he hooks up as a partner and also partners in this 7-0 agency are called double deckers, hence the title. His partner is Doug Billingham, who's like an older detective who just wants to rid the world of poverty and classes, like classism and stuff. So that was interesting. Very small ambitions for him. And then, like Leo was saying, Anthem is that drug that removes your natural limiters, and they're trying to take down Anthem users. But the thing that stood out to me the most about this show was the character designs. Character designs,
there's great. Some really cool stuff.
They're like all of the girls like stand out like immensely from each other, and like the guys are not too shabby either. Masakazu Katsura, who's the character designer, is well known for his designs in Tiger and Bunny, among other shows. But
that makes sense.
Yeah. Is it okay? Am I wrong? Because like when I was looking at the ending and like the ending credits, they had a lot of like art in there, and it looks to me like two of the female characters are a couple, which is really cool because that's not
Maxine
something
and Yuri. Yeah, they're totally a couple. Aren't they like kissing?
Yeah, I think they are. In the credits,
OPs or EDs. Yeah.
Is that the one who has like the side shaved like?
Yeah, the one with the white hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
we haven't got to know them very much yet, but I'm really excited to get to know those characters.
Well, yeah, because it's not something you see too much in an anime, especially that's not like, and they are a lesbian couple. Like it seems more like a background thing, which
not
is
to mention
even nicer.
Anime never handles gay people well.
Oh, I know. It's either like fan servicey or mostly fan servicey. So like the fact that it doesn't seem to be fan servicey, at least not yet, is nice. I also really liked the art and the overall feel of the show. I liked the idea that, you know, this little pretty boy is trying to be a hero in this unconventional way. I didn't like the drug, like the way they explain it. I feel like it's kind of bullshitty because at first they're like, it removes your natural limiters. And then like they have this guy who, I think in the second episode, who like changes his face to be gorgeous. And I'm like,
that's
come
when
on.
He goes into phase 3. Yeah,
I'm like,
he goes into overdrive.
That's not removing your natural limiters, though. That's something else.
They were like, it helps you like evolve into something else, and I was like, okay, that's different from removing your natural limiters.
Well, that's why they have it in phases, because like phase 1 is like you get like the feel good high and stuff. And then like your natural limiters are taken off. They don't really say what phase 2 is, but phase 3 is when it goes into the overdrive, like you said.
It kind of feels like
they mutate.
They wanted to make this drug, and they wanted to be able to do whatever the fuck they wanted with this drug, and so they didn't know how to explain it, and so they just mushed a bunch of things together. But that's okay. Yeah. I can forgive that. Sure. The rest of the series is all right. I just have problems when they try to explain. It's like the sci-fi thing. If you can't explain it to me well, then just don't explain it.
Yeah, basically.
I guess. Oh, I'd also like to point out the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, the soundtrack is great. I thought it reminded me of some of the laid-back jazz from like Persona 5.
It's really jazzy.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And yeah, just the visuals look really nice. Like there's some CG elements in here, like some of like Kirill or Doug's like suits and stuff like are definitely like CGI drawn, and like some of their movement is CGI, but a lot of it's also hand drawn, and it all blended together really well for me, at least. I don't know.
Yeah, I noticed it, but I didn't really have a problem with it. It looked good enough. So.
And it's not exactly like this, but I got a little bit of a Psycho-Pass feel because they're in like a police station all the time with like a bunch of different like girl and guy characters like trying to crack cases. And also like Doug has this whole thing with his gun where like he forms like the proper medicine in these like vials that are on his hip and then like puts them into a bullet and then shoots like the guy who's using Anthem with it. And then he has his like little thing he says is just like, it's time to take your medicine. It's fun. It's just goofy and fun.
It's going to be funny to see if they keep saying that every single episode.
Yeah.
It's going to get a little old after a while, I think. But it is funny.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so yeah, I'm having fun with that one.
Okay.
Leo, what about the next show?
Nobody's having fun with this one.
Oh, God.
Ulysses, Jeanne d'Arc, and the Alchemist Knight.
All right. This show is some bullshit. we all agree this is some bullshit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, can I say like the stuff, like the background of the show before we just pile on it?
Say the shit background. Go on.
So the shit background is that it's airing on Crunchyroll. Japanese title is Ulysses, Jeanne d'Arc to Renkin no Kishi. The source is a light novel, obviously. The studio is Axis. And the director is Shin Itagaki, who is actually a pretty damn good director. He directed like the original Berserk. He directed Bento. He also directed Wake Up Girl's second season. Oh no. Also notable is that Taku Iwasaki is directing the music, who's also doing Sword Art Online this season. He's well known for Gurren Lagann.
Oh shit,
Rurouni
he did
Kenshin,
Berserk
Trust
too.
and Betrayal.
Oh no.
Origami. Yeah. So like great music you can expect from this show. But Kat, tell us about this shitty
the plot is fucking terrible. It's like stitched together, like rougher than a zombie's skin, out of like different tropes. Like they picked up these things like the medieval, like the idea of medieval Europe and like medieval customs, and then like some wizard bullshit that they pulled, and then some like video game archetypes, and they just stitched it together into this bullshit patchwork. It doesn't really make any sense if you look at it even a little. You know what I mean? It just barely holds together enough. Like barely. And then it just does stupid things. Like first of all, this one bitch in this anime has these I can only describe them as otherworldly tits. Like her tits are so fucking big that if she really existed in real life, she would fall over and her back.
Are you talking about the red-haired girl, Lahire?
The assassin girl who like jiggle, her tits just jiggle every time she like moves or twitches her eyebrow. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one of them. Come on. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we've gotten far enough because it looks like all of the girls are, because there's like a time skip after the first episode, and it looks like all of the girls are going to have massive breasts.
His childhood friend also looks like she's going to have massive tits, but like her tits are not as massive, and like yeah. So okay, at one point in this fucking like first episode, there's like a time skip, and isn't it like a 7-year time skip or like 10 years or something ridiculous?
It's 7 years.
I think it's 7. Yeah,
he like
7.
looks down and he's like, "I'm gonna solve this. I'm gonna solve this problem." And then the way they talk about the time skip is, and then he looked up and it was 10 years later and he was old. What? No,
There is a throwaway line later on that Astaroth says when you're working with this Philosopher's Stone, time moves differently, and that's why he didn't notice.
I'm pretty sure if
but
you
it's like
had
later
been working on something
and out
for
of
10
nowhere.
years, you would first of all have starved to death. Second of all, you would have pissed yourself so many times. It would have been terrible.
That's okay. They already did the pissing earlier on.
That's true. That's true. They had to put that in there. And then also, the idea that now, throughout the entire show, due to this ability he gains, he's going to drool, like, all the time. And that's, like, his contribution, is his drool. So, like, now...
his drool is fucking magic drool.
I know!
Which
and so
they
we
basically
all know...
use it to rewrite Joan of Arc's backstory. Because,
we all know that
he
they
ends up
just
kissing
did that.
her to like heal her.
Yeah.
And that's why she becomes like an important historical figure, is because this dude with magic drool decided to kiss her.
And we all know the only reason his ability is magic drool is so that he can fucking make out with every damn girl in this series. Every damn girl. You just watch. It's gonna happen.
Oh, it's so dumb.
It's dumb.
It's so dumb.
I say nay with a giant red flag. Nay.
I have to talk about one scene in particular, which is in the first episode, where they're in like a history class and their professor is standing in the front of the class and he's talking about the war that's been raging for 80 years in Europe.
Yes.
And he's like, this will one day be known as the 100 Years War.
Fucking bitch.
years.
Wow, I mean, he guessed right. Good for him. I guess he knew it was going to go on for 20 more years. Like, not that the 100 Years' War actually lasted exactly 100 years. It went more than 100 years, but like, whatever. He somehow knew it would be called that. Wow. That was incredible.
Yeah, I got really thrown off whenever they did, like, just right at the very beginning, like, the owl jumps from the tree and the girl gets so scared she pisses herself, and I was like, really, we're doing this? And then I just kind of just checked out for the rest of the show.
Yeah, it's like, what kind of gratuitous, gross, fetishy bullshit is this?
Yeah,
like, why did this need to be in here? Yeah,
this is in here this early, and there's no way the rest of this is good.
And I didn't have a stroke in episode 2, right? Like, it started with Jeanne, like, young Jeanne floating naked in this pool of water surrounded by these fairy people. And then by the end of the episode, there was just, like, a genocide of these fairy people, right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
They just killed them all.
Wasn't it like, I'll be your sister? And then they all died terribly. Da-da-da.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Okay.
It was ridiculous.
It was dumb.
Oh, my God.
F.
That show's dumb.
F, just like this bitch's boobs. F.
All right, let's move on. Because we need to go fight, win with Anima Yell.
It's all right.
On Crunchyroll.
It's all right.
It's all right. It's based on a 4-koma manga. It's from Studio Doga Kobo, who excel at animating cute stuff. The director is Masako Sato, who was an episode director before on Haikyuu and Welcome to the Ballroom, but has never actually fully directed something before. So the main character of this show is a 15-year-old named Kohani Hatoya, who basically cannot help herself when she sees people in need. She has this, like, drive to help people and support them, like, and always puts other people before herself. So when she sees some cheerleaders doing a routine, she's super into it. And when she starts high school, she's like, okay, I'm going to start this cheerleading club. And so it goes about how you expect. She has to, like, get 5 members for the club. And, like, the first few episodes are about her, like, recruiting a few members. Like, the thing I think makes this show work better than you would expect is that her, like, enthusiasm is really kind of infectious. Sometimes I don't like overly genki girls, but, like, I kind of like because she's so helpful to people rather than being, like, really annoying all the time. She's also afraid of heights, which is really bad because she wants to be a cheerleader, and she's really small, so she's clearly going to be the top of the pyramid, not the bottom, and it's going to be up high all the time. And yeah, she spends, like, most of the first episode trying to recruit the first member of her club, which is the student class rep, whose name is Hizumi Arima, who's one of the cheerleaders she saw the first time, like, she saw cheerleading and got really excited about it. So she knows that she's a great cheerleader, but of course she doesn't want to join the club. And it turns out she has, like, some trauma from her past with cheerleading because, like, she was part of a cheerleading troupe and she was the best one there, and all of the other girls were jealous of her and didn't like that she, like, kept trying to, like, surpass them and wouldn't, like, come down to their average level. And so she left that club and decided she didn't want to do cheerleading anymore. But, like, Kohane basically, like, builds her up and, like, tells her, like, I'm gonna, like, become just as good as you so you don't have to, like come down to my level. And, like, she, like, to do this, to prove herself, she, like, climbs a tree, even though she's, like, really scared of heights, and then just, like, jumps out of the tree and into Hizume's arms, which is pretty funny. And then, yeah, like, the second episode is about, like, recruiting the second member, which is Kohane's, like, childhood friend. And that one, like, wasn't quite as interesting as the first episode, I would say, but it was also kind of cute and fun. The art and animation are fairly bare bones. It's not the prettiest thing to look at.
I think it's pretty. I don't know about that. I wouldn't be that picky with it.
There are definitely worse things this season, I will say, like, we will talk about today. But, like, it's not up there with, like, the KyoAnis or the Production IG shows.
Oh, no,
it looks
it's not
fine,
a masterpiece. I would just say it's a little above average, but it's not anything amazing.
Yeah. I also mentioned that Crunchyroll did that weird thing again in episode 2, where they translated the word Spartan as hardcore.
I saw it again, and I had deja vu. I was like, oh, it's Bcom's favorite thing again.
I was like, are they doing this just to spite me now? What is going on?
They know.
Yeah, it's very stereotypical. Like, it's very like, here's the formula. She will make a club. She needs to find this many people to put in her club. Da 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 da. She must overcome her fear, type of thing. But like, it's well made, and I don't hate it. Like, she doesn't get on my nerves as like ginky as she is. And I know Bcom loves this sort of thing, so we may end up covering it. I won't be mad.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if we'll cover it. It's going to be on the bubble.
Is if we do cover it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I hope that there's going to be occasional skirt flashes. Like when they do the jumps in the air.
Yeah, it's a cheerleading anime.
Well, I don't know. There's not that many cheerleading anime. All I'm saying is I want to see some cheerleading panty shots. So.
Well, don't they usually wear like shorts underneath their skirts when they're cheerleading?
It's like a swimsuit underneath, from what I remember. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not going to be like lewd, but still, it's fun. You know.
Yeah, what I didn't love was like it was actually like the cheerleading scenes. Like, I just thought the animation was like kind of weak during those scenes. Like, it wasn't that cool.
Maybe they're saving the budget.
Everything else I liked a lot.
Yeah, maybe they're saving the budget for like the actual competition time. Who knows?
Could be. Yeah.
If they did, it would be.
Did you watch this one? Do you have any thoughts?
No, I didn't. I didn't watch this. You should know better.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to something else. Tsurune is airing on Crunchyroll.
Yes. Okay.
So, the source of the light novel, Studio Kyoto Animation. You may have heard of them. The director is Takuya Yamamura, who was an episode director for Violet Evergarden's episodes 7 and 12. If you remember, 7 was the episode with Violet helping that writer who had lost his daughter, and then like jumping across the lake at the end of the episode. So you could probably say one of the best episodes of Violet Evergarden.
It was a good one.
Yeah. And episode director for several episodes of Hibiki Euphonium. And he was also listed as an episode director on the movies A Silent Voice and Tamako Love Story. So he's been with Kyoto Animation for a while. Kat, what did you think of this?
I really liked it. Okay, so only one episode is out so far from what I saw.
Yeah.
So it's
this is
kind
like
of
the
behind.
last thing to air.
Yeah, it's a little behind. Fucking, I don't know, this Kyoto Animation doing their own shit. But yeah, so I really liked it. It does give me kind of like Free Season 1 vibes, but that's not a bad thing, because like the first 2 seasons of Free were amazing. It's just the third season that they fucked up really bad on. There's a bit of drama here with the I can't shoot arrows anymore. Oh God, the thing that I love is being taken away from me by my own brain type thing.
And I thought that was like in Free Season 1 and Free Season 3 where Haru in like Season 1 or Season 2 is like, oh, I can't swim anymore. Or in Season 3 where like Mermaid Boy is like, oh, I can't swim anymore because of my past
Haru,
trauma from middle school.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Where like the scene, it kind of reminded me of the scene where Haru like stands up in the middle of a meet and just stands there, and I was like, fuck, like there's it's very similar. So it's almost like they've transplanted a lot of what they did with Free into a new show with a new sport. But I'm not mad about that. You know what? Maybe KyoAni was like, all right, we kind of shat the bed with Free. We can't do anything else with it. We need more pretty boys. What do we do? And this is what they decided to do. There were some really nice stomach shots in this first episode. There were a lot of boys pulling shirts over their head and like nice like 6-pack ab shots. It was very nice. It was hot. There was also some gratuitous
Cat's hot take. It was very nice. It was hot.
It's true. There was also some gratuitous like cute girls that are also in the club, which is a little different. There's especially one who's like who has like orangish colored hair that she is cute as fuck. 10 out of 10 would bang her. So that's going to be Bcom's favorite, I think.
Well, my favorite, okay, if you want to know my favorite girl in any Kyoto Annie show, it's the one with black hair and like purple eyes. I don't think she has purple eyes in the show, but there's one of the 3 named girl characters who are in the club is like the middle height one with black hair. I actually really like the tall girl too, because she's just like a unique character design that you don't see very often. But yeah, I was actually really interested in the fact that there are at least like a few girls in this club. And I'm really looking forward to seeing if they're just going to be props like they were in Free, which I don't think they are because they have names, or if they're actually going to have like a real impact on the plot here, like, or if they're just going to focus on the Bishi boys or not. Like,
I think I might actually have to watch this one.
Yeah, no, you should check this one out, Leo. It's interesting. So like the main character Minato has like a fairly tragic past. He's like this really naturally talented Kyudo Japanese archer, but he has like this suspicious scar across his abdomen, and also he talks about how his mother passed away when he was like in the 6th grade, which is part of his excuse that he doesn't want to be in the archery club in high school because he's been doing like the household chores ever since his mother passed, helping out his dad. So, but like he's like sort of peer pressured into it by a bunch of guys who know that he's a great archer from either going to middle school with him or like knowing of him. And so he gets like up in front of his club, and like the teacher or like the club advisor like kind of singles him out and asks him to like shoot some arrows, like as like just to show like the rest of the people who are interested in Kyudo what archery is like. And when he gets up to shoot at the target, he has this thing that's called it's a real like mental issue that archers apparently deal with called target panic, where he aims down the sights like at the target and he like lets go of the bowstring too early. And that's one of the ways that target panic can manifest in you. But like all of his shots land short, and you get these flashbacks to a competition he was in middle school where the same thing was happening to him. And so he clearly has like these mental blocks that he can't get past right now. And so obviously a lot of the show is going to be him getting past that with the help of his friends, with the help of the people around him. So,
but it's not like overly dramatic because they have a lot of lighthearted stuff in here. Like, it's not going to be like Badminton Hell from last season. It's going to be, I think, a good balance.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're good. I'm going to keep this as a contender.
What did you think of the gorgeous man at the end of the episode?
Oh my god, he was my favorite one. Oh, I'm so glad you reminded me. With the hair and the owl, I was like, yes, bitch, this is my favorite. Him and the angry one, the one with the reddish hair who's like pissed off all the time. Yeah. Those are my 2 favorites right now. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You mean the Rin of this show?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The one, just like the one that I love the most from Free. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Like, and obviously, like the like light brown haired kid who is like constantly grabbing Minato's hand and like encouraging him is totally the Makoto of this show too. Like, there's just 1-to-1 comparisons all the way down with Free in this, but like it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I think it will do its own thing. It will be its own story, but it's just based like surface level comparisons at the beginning. It's hard not to see the Free in this.
You know what? I appreciate Kyo Annie for giving some girls some amazing fan service. They're the only they're the only company that actually does it well. Like, there are a lot of like animation studios that will do girl fan service shows, but a lot of time they are shittily animated. And Kyo Annie is the only one, in my opinion, who does it actually decently. So I'm going to keep cheering them on. Be like, you go. You give us that. We'll buy all that merch. And we'll keep making you rich. So
I will say one last thing. While this looks really good, it's Kyo Annie, I don't think it looks quite as good as something like Hibike Euphonium or Violet Evergarden. And I think that could have to do with, like, this apparently is like a lot of newer staff at Kyoto Animation working on this. It's going to be more on the level of like a Beyond the Boundary, which was still really good, like visually, than like a Violet Evergarden or something. But still, like, that looks better than 90% of the anime that are airing this season. So it's not really a complaint. It's just like a lower your expectations slightly for this, I would say.
See, Bcom is very critical on animation quality. I'm like, I mean, it looks great to me.
It does look great. Like, it looks really fantastic. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Mondays.
Yeah.
We got The Girl in Twilight on High Dive. The Japanese title is Akene Sasu Shoujo. This is an original anime from Studio Dandelion Animation Studio, who are relatively new. They've done Pingu in the City, which, by the way, is one of the highest rated anime on my anime list because of memes. The director is Yuichi Abe, or he's the series director he's listed as, and Jin Tamamura is listed as director. They both have very little experience.
I noticed this too. When I was looking into it, I was like, nobody on this has done anything. And then you get to the voice cast.
Ooh, the voice cast.
And it totally flips on you.
Oh my god. Yeah, the main girl, Asuka, voiced by Tomoya Kurosawa, who's like my favorite. She voiced Kumiko Omae and Hibiki Euphonium, among a lot of other characters. Mia Silverstone is voiced by Nao Toyama, who I love from Oreimo. Not Oreimo. Oregairu. God, I should not get those mixed up. Marina Inoue voices Chloe. She voiced, Yoko Littner and Gurren Lagann. There's like, and then there's just like a million more. There's like, all of the main girls are fantastic voice actors, and they do a great job in this. Leo, why don't you tell us a little bit what this is?
So it's about 5 girls who are part of a radio club in high school, and they like to perform like this little kind of ritual thing that they go to like a sacred tree and like they chant something and hold up their little cassette tape. And then one day it actually works. It starts off, they would pick a frequency and they would just roll dice for it. And that's the frequency they would go for the day. But when it works, they transport into like this kind of like really golden-like world. And they run into another girl that looks like the main girl, Asuka. She ends up having to save them from like all these like little bunny things. And it was a pretty good fight scene. I thought it was animated pretty well. She has like these dual swords that are also like rail guns, and I was like, shit, this is freaking awesome, actually. Like, she's like, the bunnies like form into serpents, and she's like shooting them with rail guns from the air. It was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. And then, so once she finally defeats them, she sends the girls back, but before she can go back to her own world herself, she like collapses. And Asuka looks after her for like a day or something, and then she like goes and leaves her world again. Then they decide to do the ritual again, but with a different radio frequency that like some random fortune teller told Nana. And
the radio frequency was 6969, by the way. I noted that.
It was 696.9. Come on.
Okay, sure, fine.
Yeah, but this time when they transport, they go into an almost exact replica of their town, but Nana has replaced the Nana of that world and kind of gets sucked into it. And I'm really loving this show. Mm-hmm. I think that there's apparently, from like the first episode, there's somebody's meddling in things, and I'm just kind of curious what their agenda is. So far, it's just like seeding chaos. It's weird sometimes because the show looks really good, I think, for most of the times, but then sometimes a frame seems out of focus or a shot of the girls and their faces look unfinished. But then we'll cut to another scene of like Asuka talking to herself, and I'm like, this is beautiful. So I don't know what they're doing with that. I love the concept with all this like crazy stuff you can do with the world traveling. And we already said, I was looking at, and we hadn't seen the studio, the directors, then nobody had done anything until you look at the voice cast and you're like, oh, that's where they spent the money.
Yeah, for sure.
The voice cast.
And like, maybe that's a smart strategy for a new studio. It's like, we know this is not maybe going to look the best or possibly be directed the best, but we do have great voice actors for our main girls. And like, we have really good character designs for them too, because it's actually the same character designer for this show as it was for Double Decker, Doug and Kirill. The original character designer anyway. So like, yeah, I mean, that's what they're focused on. And I think they're selling that pretty well. I didn't like the second episode as much, like with Nana like going to this like parallel world where she's like forced to get married at age 17.
Yeah, but it turns out to be her perfect wish.
It is kind of because like they make these wishes in the first episode about like if I could go to another world, like what would I want? And like her wish is like, well, I want to go to a world where I'm surrounded by hot guys, and well, that kind of turns into like I want to marry this idol boy.
Yeah.
And it's so she's kind of like surface level. That's kind of who she is. And like
okay, you say surface level, but they get kind of deep with like her family and stuff too.
They do, yeah. So yeah, it's actually a pretty decent show. Honestly, overall, like, what did you think, Kat?
Yeah, no, I also think this anime has some great potential. I think it looks really interesting, but I'm a little worried about it because I think it's one of those anime where it could be awesome, but it could also be like teasing us, and then it'll be terrible later. So I have hope for it. Yeah. But I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, but I'm kind of giving it sus eyes from like the corner of my eyes. I'm like,
so when I watched
fuck me over?
I was thinking you were really gonna like it, Kat, because it made me think of Kokoru. And like you really wanted that to be really good, and I feel like this one's doing that supernatural aspect better.
See, I think I'm excited for it because it reminds me of Kokoro, but like I know how that ended. So I'm giving it like the side eye. Like, are you about to fuck me over? Like, am I about to be disappointed again, girl in Twilight? So
I don't know. I'm really happy with these first 2 episodes. So
I am too. I'm happy with the first 2, and honestly, it's better than most of the stuff this season. So we may cover it. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Well, what about this anime about a 37-year-old man who gets reincarnated as a slime?
Fuck this show. I know everyone likes this show. I know everyone wants to watch this dumb piece of moldy dog shit.
Well, you obviously haven't read what I wrote.
Well, let's tell people where it came from. So that time I got reincarnated as a slime is obviously from a manga.
You'll know, huh? Sorry.
Studio 8-Bit. The director, Yasuhito Kikuchi, directed such classics as Comet Lucifer, Infinite Stratos, and also episodes like 74 to 114 of Saint Seiya, apparently.
I think these first 2 episodes is just this huge amount of world building and trying to explain how his slime character is the most OP slime character of fucking all time. He's basically invincible.
Well, it just keeps telling you about all these dumbass abilities he has. And I'm like, I don't give a shit about his abilities. I don't care anymore. Also, did the subtitles keep like fucking up for you guys? Or was that just like the Verve player?
Oh, I don't know. No, I think they were fine for me.
Yeah,
okay, because on the top it was trying to tell you the abilities, and on the bottom was like his monologue. It kept glitching, and I'd have to like rewind it and like have to. Yeah, it was a pain in the ass. It was awful. The dragon needing a friend and being like all tsundere was like kind of cute, but also just weird. That's a lot of the things about this anime. There's like kind of cute, but like fucking weird. And you're like, what? It's dumb. It's like empty. It's like someone handed you like a box of pasta, and you were excited because you were like, oh, we're gonna have food, we're gonna have pasta for dinner, and then you open it and it's empty, and you're sad. And that's what this anime is. And also slightly confused. Yeah, that's this anime.
I was really weirded out by like the first scene, like before we're even in Slime World or whatever, like where like the way this starts off is like some guy is just sprinting down the sidewalk with a knife, and it's not even clear like who he's trying to stab.
Yeah, it's not, but if I had to guess, I think it was the girl.
I guess so. Maybe like he was jealous like of the girl going out with another guy, but like when the other guy gets in the way, he doesn't slow down at all. He's just like, all right, I'm gonna stab you now. It just stabs the main character. And then, okay, so like the whole deal is like as he's dying, like he starts complaining about different things, or like, oh, my blood is like too hot, and like a voice in his head is like, oh, well, you have heat resistance now. And like, he does all these like different things. He gets pain resistance, heat resistance, cold resistance, like blah 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 blah.
Doesn't he at one point say like, if I'm ever reborn, I'm just gonna fuck every girl I see? And he's like, predator status acquired. And I'm just like, what?
He's like, I'm gonna be super aggressive and I'm gonna bang every chick I see.
Yeah,
and it's
you're
a predator now.
Yeah, the predator ability is like his basically his cheat ability that allows him to absorb anything, and like if it's a plant or something, turn it into like a healing potion, or absorb enemies and gain their skills. And like he can just absorb everything. He even stores a dragon inside him at one point. So he's just so OP. It's insane. I honestly, I finished the second episode and was just like, I don't know. I think I want to watch more, but I don't know. Because it's like I said, they've only done what feels like world building. In the third episode, it looks like they're actually going to get into like the adventure aspect of it, but I don't know. I honestly have to give this another episode before I come to the decision.
You're going to give it another episode? Oh, Leo.
It is a slow start. So he gets out of these caves. He spends most of the first 2 episodes in these caves, just leveling up and like eating a dragon who he befriends. And then he goes and finds these like goblins in this goblin village. And because he ate this storm dragon that was like one of the great 4 dragons of this fantasy world, they have no protector now, even though the dragon was sealed away. So I don't understand how he was protecting anyone. It was like
blocking a pass.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the slime now becomes like the de facto like protector of these goblin people. And yeah, that kind of just continues on into episode 3. I watched a little bit of it, and yeah, it's just he just becomes like the leader of these goblin people and like protects them, and then has them befriend some like wolves, dire wolves, and then like at the end of episode 3, he's going to go off to meet some dwarves to see if they can get like they can trade with them. And stuff like that. I don't know. So it's just he's going to keep building connections. He's going to like get stronger and stronger. He's going to have this huge army behind him, and eventually he's not going to be a slime anymore. He's going to from the OP it looks like he's going to get a human body, and then he's going to have sex with some girls. That seems to be where it would go.
Well, because there are girls in the I wondered about that. I was like, what? But yeah, the first 2 episodes are a lot like watching like the crappy part of the first part of like a video game, but like you're not playing it yourself. You're like watching someone else play the crappy part of a video game. So you're just like, oh,
yeah, it's kind of true.
Like yeah,
I would feel pretty awesome if I was getting all these skills. I'd be like, oh, this is amazing. But like watching him get them, it's like, it's kind of boring.
What is this, a Twitch stream? There is something Kat will like, and that's a good dick joke.
I mean, yes.
No.
I always love a good dick joke.
I haven't recovered yet, Leo.
Yeah, it's too late, bitch.
All right.
We're jumping back in. Here we go.
Golden Kamuy, second season. Source of the manga. Studio is Gino Studio again. The director is Hitoshi Namba again. And yes, so I think I had this one. So at the end of the first season, Tsurune, the guy with like no face, or like his brain's leaking out of his face anyway.
Oh, wait, before you go on.
What's up?
So if everybody may remember, you remember the guy from last season that he got off on thinking of Sugimoto killing him, and how weird
like
that was.
The new one, I know.
And then there was the other guy who was the hunter, Tetsuzo, who was like got a boner from like hunting and shit, and he was weird. This next guy is way weird. He makes the other 2 look pretty damn normal.
You know what? I'm upset that they killed him off so fast. Like, they should have kept him around all season to, like, be bizarre.
I kind of agree.
I don't know if I could seen him wearing any more of his quote-unquote outfits. Those were very disturbing.
The one that's, like, basically a giant dick. Like made of someone's arm,
elephant
like
trunk.
Hanging.
Oh, yes, God. And he's like swinging around as he walks down the runway.
I know. And is it Tsurune like it's a tail? And I'm like, that's totally where his dick would be if his mother hadn't like cut it off. Oh yeah,
yeah,
by
his
the
mother
way.
cut off his dick. That was a thing. Oh man, his mother, who he has taxidermied, is as a doll, and who he still talks to, like from the movie Psycho.
Oh jeez.
She's like, don't trust him. He'll never love you, or something. She's like, shut up, mother. It's the best thing.
I cut off your dick because it reminded me of your cheating father. It looked just like him. What?
Yep.
What?
So he's a taxidermist, right? His name is Yasaku Edo Guy. And that's why Tsurumi's interested in him, because what Tsurumi wants, he's come up with this new idea to make a bunch of fake code skins, like human skins with the code on them, to throw people off the trail. And it would just introduce a whole bunch of chaos into this hunt for the code and for the gold that's hidden. And so he basically plays up like Edogai's like ego, basically, to like get him to agree to make these skins. And like part of that is having him like do a fashion show of all his ridiculously disgusting like and things macabre. That are carved out of human body parts.
Oh yeah,
like that mask. The mask with like the hands on the top
teeth.
And like
all the fingers,
the eye holes that are mouths with teeth. And like,
yeah.
Oh my god,
it's fucked up. There's like one that's a dress. It's interesting because it starts out and they're all very masculine, and then they become like less masculine, and then they're just like dresses, and I'm like, this dude's kind of gay, and like he's got something for Tsurumi.
Oh yeah, he has a full heart on for him.
Oh my, there's a point where he makes a doll of Tsurumi, like because Tsurumi has to go do other things, and I'm like, I don't really want to know like what he does with that doll, like at night.
Oh no!
I
thought it was funny how there was a bowl on his forehead for like his plate.
I know.
It was like a little tea bowl or something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, he was such an amazing character. They should have kept him. That's all I'm saying.
Some of the other things that happen are like Toshizo, Tatsuma, and Ogata's group are all pretty sure they figured out that Nopurabo was like a Russian partisan of some sort, but also probably Ainu as well. Because when he killed some guys after like escaping from prison or whatever, he destroyed their personal items as well, which is part of Ainu funeral rites. It's like you destroy their personal items so that they can be used in the afterlife. You cut off their link to this world. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was cool.
And they also insinuate that Kirill Ranke, who is still with Asirpa and all them, might be a Russian partisan pretending to be Ainu or something. That was kind of interesting. In true Golden Kamuy fashion,
I couldn't believe this.
They introduced a new character whose name is Chikapasi or something, which literally means to get an erection, or for short, boner. Yeah.
Yes.
We have a character literally named Boner now.
Well, and don't they just say like that's a great name? That's like the best name ever. And I'm like,
Tanigaki loves that name. Tanigaki likes this kid because he reminds him of his son. He's like really interested in hunting, so he kind of like forges a relationship with him. But yeah, he's like, that's the best name. And then
also,
Inkarmat, like the fortune teller woman's back.
The name also means something like birds taking flight. I'm like, how in a language is birds taking flight the same as boner? How?
I don't know, man.
It's weird. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, Inkarmat, that crazy fortune teller's back, and she's like hooked up with Tanigaki now.
Well,
but it's also revealed she's very much working for Tsurumi. Yeah.
She wants to be hooked up with Tanigaki, and Tanigaki's like, I'm not into it, and she's like, oh, you'll be into it eventually. I'm coming. I'm coming with you, baby. So
yeah,
jeez.
But
in the second episode, like everybody kind of converges on the taxidermy place, and then like taxidermy guy, Edo guy, he makes a run for it, and they basically get into this minecart chase with like Sugimoto chasing after him, and they get sort of trapped in these mines that they're doing explosive demolition, and they hit a gas pocket, and so the mines start to fill with this noxious gas, and then they can't get out. And so all of this chaos happens. They barely get out. And like one of Tsurumi's officers named Tsukushima had almost not made it out with like a bunch of these skins, but we find out at the end of the episode, he did actually make it out. He gets these like 6 fake skins to Tsurumi. So that's going to cause a bunch of chaos now when he like unleashes them. And he also got the last message from taxidermy guy who died. He got buried in like an avalanche inside of the mine. That like you can tell the fake skins from the real skins by touching them to iron because they'll turn black if they touch iron.
Once they gotta get wet and then touch iron.
Oh, they gotta get wet first? Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Also, there was like a funny like Last Supper dinner thing in the second
That was
episode.
funny.
Yeah, there was. That was weird. That was really weird.
I want to say this alliance is really interesting. This because I mean, if they do work together, it makes them very powerful force.
We're back with some amazing shit from Golden Kamuy. I'm telling you, this show is amazing.
Asirpa was super excited to see Dick Sensei again.
She still had like the sponge cake or whatever.
Yeah. God damn it. Oh, this show. Interesting. We'll see where it goes.
Don't be such a dick about it, Bcom.
All right. Tuesdays. I'm too excited. I need to move on. Run with the Winds. Japanese title, Kaze ga Suyoku Fuetiru. The source is a novel which was written by Shion Miura, who also wrote Fune wa Amu, The Great Passage, which was a really nice anime. The studio is Production IG, who you probably know from working on a whole bunch of stuff, but including Haikyuu. The director, Kazuya Nomura, worked on Joker Game, Robotics Notes, a bunch of Sengoku Basara stuff. And also of note is Takahiro Chiba, who's the character designer, who was also the chief animation director for all of Haikyuu. So, thanks to Production IG, the show looks great. Thanks to the character designs from the same person who did Haikyuu, the characters look great. It had a great writer behind it. It has an awesome OP by Unison Square Garden. But I knew all of this would be the case going in, and I was like, all right, what's going to be the hook for me with this anime? I don't know if I'm going to get hooked. Like, I love Haikyuu so much. Could this ever live up to Haikyuu? And so I start watching it, right? And it's this story about a bunch of college students who are getting gathered together because they're great runners. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. College students, thank God. Finally. And the show starts off with this like angry-eyed kid who's like running away because he just robbed a convenience store. His name is Kakeru Kurahara. And he's chased down on a bicycle by this other guy, Haiji Kiyose, who just like is entranced by Kakeru's running form because he's a really good runner, clearly, and wants to recruit him to come live in his dorm where he has like 8 other guys living with him who he's all like basically sneakily gathered together because he knows they're all really good at running. And so by the end of the first episode, like after like a whole bunch of character introductions are played out, and there's like a really diverse cast of characters, like including like an exchange student from Tanzania in Africa, like of all things. Like Haiji finally tells him like, what I want you all guys all here to do is to compete in the Hakone Ekiden. And this is the hook of this show. And you might not know it when you first hear that. But man, when I like looked up on Wikipedia what this race is, it is so friggin' awesome. And like, I can't figure out a way that they could screw up this anime given like what I read about this race. So let me tell you about this. Like, the Hakone Ekiden is a televised relay marathon that takes place at like New Year's on like January 2nd and 3rd every year, and it's run between Tokyo and Hakone. So there's 2 days of the race. Each day of the race is broken up into 5 sections, which are run in a relay by different team members. So you have to have 10 members on your team, which is why like Haiji was so obsessed with finding 10 guys to live in this dorm who can all run. And so like you run the first day like 108 kilometers and the second day 109 kilometers. That's like 67 or 68 miles.
How do you do that?
What'd you say, Leo?
How do you do that? I'd die.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's broken up between 5 runners at least, though. So you're not the only person running that entire length. It's like 5 people are running that length. And so, yeah, this is a race for teams from universities who belong to this inter-university athletic union of Kanto. And so 10 teams qualify by like virtue of like finishing in the top 10 of the race the previous year. And then 9 more teams can qualify through like this 20-kilometer qualifier in October, like preceding the next year's race, which is clearly how the characters in this anime are going to qualify.
Well, 9 more. Because wouldn't that make it 19 teams, though? That's weird. That's a weird number.
Yeah, it's like a weird if Wikipedia is correct, that's what it is.
Interesting.
So, yeah, this race has been going since like 1920, so there's a lot of history to it. Ever since 2004, they give out like a Most Valuable Runner award at the end as well. And yeah, each section of the race is different because, you're running like a real route. Like it's not just like on a track or something. So like there are sections that are like uphill. There are sections that are flat. There are sections that are shorter than others. So there's a lot of strategy that will play into like which characters are tasked with running like different legs of the race. And the final section of the race, I noticed it leads back to the start in Tokyo, and it's very flat, but it's also very windy because of like the tall buildings that they're running past. And so some might say you have to run with the wind in that part of the course. I assume that's what's going to happen. So I just got like unbelievably hyped reading about this. Like this type of race sounds awesome. What did you guys think of this episode?
I haven't watched this one, but I will be.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kat?
I really liked it. I was really excited. I also really liked that it was college students instead of like middle school or high school students, which a lot of sports anime are. And I know it's like not 100% sports, but it has that vibe. It's got a lot of deeper meaning in it, which I like. All the characters are really well designed, and you can already tell they have like their own like unique flavor to them. Like you can already feel the personality like oozing out of them. And you've only, it's only been an episode or two. So, like, I'm hooked. I'm like, yes. I thought it was really interesting that the main guy, who with the mean eyes, was introduced, like, as a thief who lost all of his cash at a casino. Like, because it doesn't seem like he would be the type of person to do that. And so the idea of that, it's interesting. So I'm kind of interested to see where this goes. And I definitely think we should cover this. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot, too. I was really impressed by how well all of those characters stood out to me. Like, even after just watching 2 episodes, I can pretty much remember all of them.
Yeah, and that's not normal for me. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I really liked the manga guy who just collects a ton of manga in his room and is like super lazy and sleepy.
Yeah, and he's like, I would not touch that pile if I were you. They'll all
it's
fall
perfectly
down.
Balanced.
Yeah.
And I liked like the older like law students and like the old guy who like smokes cigarettes and stuff. Like it was great. Like the second episode basically plays out because like a whole bunch of the guys are not convinced that they should be running in this race. And so Haiji, who is like the leader, like the mastermind behind all this, has to go around and like either like blackmail all of them or like seduce them somehow into like deciding that they should run this race.
Well, not literally. It's not a yaoi, but yeah.
No, not like just like seduce them with like different like with
different promises.
You'll like get girls if you run this race and like all that stuff. Like, it was pretty funny.
It was good. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Well, don't get excited for the next one.
Oh God, this fucking anime.
I can't even conceive of a way I could be excited about the next one. So, Conception is the source. It was a game. The studio is Gonzo. The director is Keitaro Motonaga, who did like direct the absolute masterpiece School Days. He also directed Ray Earth, The Day Live, Digimon Adventure, Try 1 to 5, Jormungand, Get Backers. He's directed a lot of stuff.
Oh, he did Jormungand? That's cool. I like that one.
But I have written down here that this anime is unbelievably dumb and bad.
And I would be fine with leaving it at that.
It really doesn't even need, I don't know, like to be evaluated. Like in episode 1, they get you all hyped up, like he's gonna fuck them all, yeah. It's gonna be Pokemon, but with sex, like da da da. And like there's this icky scene where this weird like stuffed animal is like, you're gonna fuck her here, and like go in between her legs, and he's like, I'm trying to be considerate of you, and I'm like, dude, you're not being fucking considerate at all. Like, you're, because at one point he's like, but we have to go back home, so you need to fuck me, and it just it reminded me of like the trope where the guy like drives some poor girl out to the middle of nowhere and is like, the only way you'll get home is if you fuck me.
Oh god.
Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Oh, it's terrible. It's awful.
And then, like, you say it's like, oh, it's about they're gonna fuck them all, but like in the second episode, you find out that they don't even actually have sex.
Well, because that would be too much for Japan, Bcom.
Yes,
they have
too
to
much
back
for
away
Japanese
from it.
television.
Yeah,
but that was at that point where I was like kind of laughing at this show and just like at how bad it was, and then I was like offended that they were like, oh no, we're not actually having sex. I was like, are you kidding me? You can't even do that. You can't even get that shit right. Oh man, what is the point even at that point? I don't know. And like, yeah, there's like this sexual harassing like red panda sidekick who is really awkward and weird.
He is lewd.
In the second episode,
and rude.
he's like jerking off the main character.
Oh, I know.
It's so weird. Messed up. Oh, I don't know, man. What are you doing, Japan? What are you doing?
I don't think they even know.
But yeah.
Well,
like, it's going to be Japan, 12 episodes, a different girl every episode.
It's almost like they tried the hard way with the sci-fi stuff with last season with I'm already forgetting the name of that anime, and we watched it for 2 whole seasons. The one with the bodysuits. The one with the bodysuits.
Darling in the Franxx.
Yeah, Darling in the Franxx. It's like they tried with Darling in the Franxx. They're like, maybe this will get them to have babies, and they waited, and they're like, no, that didn't work. We need to go even more lewd, and like this is their next attempt. Like, have babies. Yeah.
But they made a show about having babies where you don't actually have sex. Is it not going to help?
I know. They need to be more explicit. They need to just start like doing government sanctioned porn. Where like they're like, listen, kids, this is what you do.
They need to uncensor their porn. That's what they need to do. So they actually know what the fuck's going on.
They can't figure it out with all the pixels.
They need to educate these kids. Teach them.
All right. Let's take a short break for a commercial. We'll be right back.
Bye. We'll see you.
And here's another tasty morsel from the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast.
Some fan service.
Yeah. I mean, it worked pretty well in Dragon Ball. Do you remember those scenes with Bulma?
Bulma was running around in a bunny outfit for the longest time.
I know. Akira Toriyama.
We can get the Dragon Balls, and then we can make our wish. Bulma's panties.
Did Oolong wish for Bulma's panties, or did you just wish for a pair of panties?
I think it was just a pair of panties. I'm sure it's different in the Japanese than it is in the English dub. But, yeah, he just wished for panties. They're probably used.
As always, you can find us on Facebook and on Twitter at Trash Panda Anime. You can find us on our website, tpwapodcast.com. You can also find us on assorted sites like SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes.
Warning, the following clip may contain descriptions of explicit behavior conducted by Bishi boys.
Now, that's not to say he didn't get physical. Quite the opposite, in fact. Our boy Kent was researching all the ways to please a woman.
Pulled his lever.
And he put some of that learning into effect, if you know what I mean. Let me give you a scene from the show that I really quite liked. My research shows that women find it pleasurable if men place their fingers here, then apply some pressure and begin to rub that area. Do you enjoy that? Is it giving you pleasure? Please respond. I need verbal... Please respond. I gotta get this out. Get it out. Please respond. I need verbal confirmation that this is something that you enjoy. Heroine Sadie tells him that it's hurting her as he's rubbing her too vigorously. Ow. Despondent Ken removes his fingers and looks at them. Perhaps I applied too much pressure. Don't worry, Kent. Head pats are difficult to master.
And that was Yata from the Reanimator Pod. If you want to hear more, you can check out our website. That's reanimatorpod.com. We release new episodes every Monday.
Don't drop that. Don't drop that.
Hey, Colin, did you get the cardboard cutout of Consul Kev?
Did I ever? It's amazing.
Oh, I think so too. I hate that guy. Kevin, what are you doing here?
Just eavesdropping on all the, the bad things you say about me. My usual Wednesday.
Oh, well, did you at least prepare for the Retro Gaming Podcast?
Absolutely not.
Oh, God, that figures. All right, it's okay. I'll take it from here. Basically, we pick a theme every time, and we pick a number of games based on that theme. Just like our first episode where it lasted forever and we talked about space games.
Yeah, and other good, all the mainstream systems and games you love, like the 3DO, the Atari Jaguar.
Oh, come on. Colin, you back me up here. The 3DO is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were friends. I mean, it's cool. All right.
If you want to hear three guys talk about games that are bad because JD picked them all, and good games that Kevin picked, join us.
Who here wants to see a bunch of nerds talking video games with a little bit of anime thrown in there? Nobody? Just me? Damn!
Well, speaking of anime, Colin, we have an anime cast as well.
Yes, we do. All retro anime. Many of which I have never heard of myself. And I'm a weeb!
Very similar premise there. We pick a retro anime, at least 15 years or older, and we review it every episode. We also keep up on all the modern stuff, all the seasonal things from the year. Hey, Kevin, you just got back into wrestling, right?
I did.
Oh my god, did you know we also have a wrestling cast that just started?
I do now, because nobody tells me anything.
Well, what do you think of the big dog these days?
He still sucks.
Well, that's good. Well, luckily, we just don't complain about WWE stuff. We also talk about a lot of the latest and greatest from the rising indie scene, New Japan, and Ring of Honor.
I like Rings and Honor.
Well, you should definitely listen to the Red Leaf Retrocast. We have such a wide range of topics, ideas to discuss, and just anything to review. It's fantastic, don't you guys think so?
It's alright!
Absolutely. And thanks again for the Sailor Moon episode. That's got me a lifetime supply of salt for my fries. From the fans. Ha!
That's the Red Leaf Retrocast. All things gaming, anime, and wrestling, found on all your favorite podcasting websites.
All right, and we're back. Let's move on to Wednesdays. We've got Between the Sky and Sea, which I just like to call space fishing, because why would you not call this show space fishing? So the source is a smartphone game that was released in Japan in September of 2017, which very much shows, especially in the end of the first episode when they whip out their smartphones. The studio TMS Entertainment has recently done things like Megalobox. They did Sweetness and Lightning, Relife, and Orange. They've done some good shows.
Yeah, it's not bad.
The director, on the other hand, Atsushi Nagorikawa, has done Love Tyrants. He also did Anatori EX and XX, those shows about the girls stretching and working out, that are highly entertaining, highly informative, I will say. If you want to learn how to work out, watch those shows. So anyway, space fishing. The premise of the series is really dumb, but I thought it was going to be dumb in a really fun way, right? And it turned out to be just dumb, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So all of the fish have disappeared from the oceans of Earth for some reason that they can't figure out. And 10 years have passed since then. And apparently in those 10 years, Japan decided that the solution to this problem was to build fishing tanks in space.
They need to get their sushi somehow.
If they had explained this in a decent way, I could buy this, right? I could swallow this. But they don't explain it in a decent way.
No.
At all. I was so excited. I was like, this is bizarre. I'm in. I love bizarre shit. But the only thing I can say about this anime is, here comes a pun. It's spacey.
God.
Oh, man. Why wouldn't they just build huge fish tanks in the ocean? And just float them around?
Because they keep going to space on them.
Wait. Okay, but my first thought was, if they have like the fish to repopulate stuff with, then why don't they just repopulate the fish that were in the ocean?
Well, I guess they wouldn't survive is the thing. Like, I also was wondering, like, oh, where'd they get all these fish? Also, the fish are like giant size now. They're like giant fish and crabs.
Well, I guess maybe you could explain it like, oh, there's no gravity in space, so like
That's
they
what
get
I thought
bigger.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
which
still
I
kind of
guess
weird.
would make sense. It is kind of weird. It is,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Like, I mean, if they had just taken some time, they could have explained this well. They didn't, and like also, the whole point of this anime is to just showcase how stupid the main character is.
She's so
and like,
dumb.
I know, and what is it with Japan? Why do Japanese people have this weird fetish for helpless, dumb as fuck women? I don't know why. They do. It's like the
totally
dumber
true.
and more helpless the woman is, the sexier she becomes. Somehow. I don't know.
She's so
but that's
dumb.
what's going on
For
here.
survival reasons. You explained this to us when we finished Englamoy.
Oh, yeah. The sexy dumb one survives.
Oh my god.
The show also like tries to jam in this narrative about like how there's like this equal employment law. So women need to be like employed in the same jobs as men, but the male space fishermen are like really sexist and they hate this idea. And so
like we're gonna get those female fishermen. We're gonna get them.
It's like, these like ancient gender politics that like don't feel like they should be in
like
this
if
show.
you're in space, how are you just now getting these laws that are like, we better let women come too? Like what? Bitch.
And also,
It's
like,
weird.
It seems like the bargain for like allowing women to be in this space fisher program is that their uniforms have to show their cleavage and like their thighs. And just
Yeah.
be like
That's
ridiculous.
awesome.
Whereas like the men's uniforms are just like completely normal jumpsuits, like nothing
also-
exposed.
The point you made about the smartphone game, like Roots, like why would you make these very fancy pods to fish these gigantic crab and shit, and then be like, but you know how you're gonna operate them with your smartphone? What?
And not only that, like they can't even really fish with the pods. They need to summon a deity, like an actual god, like one of whom is Odin, who is not even a Japanese god. They need to summon a deity to help them fish. And like they do this with their smartphone, and it's like choosing a Pokemon, or it's like rolling gacha for a deity or something. Like, you know, it's
dumb. Yeah.
It's really dumb. The one thing I did like in the second episode.
Don't waste your time.
One of the girls is from Akita, which is in northwestern Japan, and she has a really thick accent. And so Crunchyroll's subtitles to portray this, like, have this like weird, like, I'm really, can I talk, it's just like this like weird like Scottish English, like I can't do a Scottish accent, that was horrible, but like, it's so dumb, it's barely legible, like I could barely read the words like she's supposedly saying. It's funny though, but that was like the only thing I got out of this, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Very glad I didn't watch it.
Please.
Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Yes, this is the show that had a Bunny Girl outfit on the cover, and everybody thought it was going to be really dumb, but it's actually not that dumb, surprisingly.
It's not that dumb. Yeah.
So it's on Crunchyroll. It's from a light novel by the author Hajime Kamashita, who wrote the script for Just Because. Oh no. And it's also the original creator of Pet Girl of Sakura So, which a lot of people liked. I had some issues with, but I thought it was like pretty decent all in all. Studio is Cloverworks, who are like a division of A1 Pictures, basically. They worked on everybody's favorite episodes of Darling in the Franxx. And also Persona 5 the animation. The director is Soichi Masui, who directed Sakura Quest. So that's promising. And yeah, so this is a story about a loner high school boy named Sakuta, who is like very introspective and kind of an ass. He's a lot like the main character Hachiman of Oregairu. However, he's just the perfect person to save a bunch of pretty girls who happen to all surround him and are experiencing this thing called adolescence syndrome, which is like a sort of like unclear diagnosis based on trauma from their childhood years. So like the first example of this, before we get to the bunny girl, is his little sister Kaede, who is so disabled from past trauma of being bullied by her friends in school that she like never leaves the house anymore. And she like crawls into bed with her brother at night in a panda kigurumi. Yeah, that she wears at all times.
I was worried when they did that. I was like, oh no, this is what we're starting this anime with? This? Mm-hmm. It did get better.
Yeah,
I still am judgy about that.
I am pretty judgy about it. Like, her adolescence syndrome kind of manifests in these like cuts and bruises that just like appear on her body. But I guess by staying home and also cutting herself off from like the internet and technology, like her adolescence syndrome kind of like faded away, and she's kind of able to manage it now, but still not enough to like go outside. Like, so it's still pretty bad.
It kind of makes me wonder if the 3 cuts that you see on the main character's like abdomen are some like really big episode that she went through and almost killed him or something. Like maybe she's the one, because it goes into like some of his classmates got hurt. Like maybe she's the one who hurt them. I'm not. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's something else.
That's possible, yeah. And like he was hospitalized. Like his classmates seem to think like he hospitalized other people, but we learned that Sakata is actually the one who was hospitalized. He has this like Kat said, this big like almost like a bear claw dragged across his chest. But he has no memory of it. He also finds at the beginning of his anime like a suspicious journal written by his past self that tells him to take care of this bunny girl he's going to meet that day, which is all very mysterious.
But I think that's because he thinks eventually he will forget her. Because, like, remember in the second, and I think that's actually the end of the first episode where she talks about how, like, more and more people are forgetting her.
Yes.
And, like, forgetting her existence. I think that's his way of being like, in case I forget, I'll read this and remember.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, the bunny girl is Mai Sakurajima, who is this like former celebrity that became like disillusioned with the like idol industry when her mother, who is also her manager, pushed her into doing this swimsuit shoot that she was very uncomfortable with, and like said she would never do, but her mother like signed a contract for her to do it anyway. And so she left the business at that time, and since then she's started experiencing adolescent syndrome, and like Kat said, it's in this form of like sort of her turning into like a Schrodinger's cat in a way, where like her existence can only be confirmed if she is observed, which is like the way Schrodinger's cat sort of works. And the only person that is still able to see her, it seems, is Sakata, which is lucky for him, I guess. But yeah,
it did kind of give me like a weird like this idol is all for me and is my personal idol, and like, you know how like all guys have that like fantasy about having this idol all to themselves, and I'm kind of like, oh, this is sort of fulfilling that. Yep. But it's not in a creepy way or anything.
Yeah, it's not very creepy. It is wish fulfillment, but it's not super creepy about it. Yeah,
yeah, it's got emotional depth in it, so I'll forgive it. It's a little bit of fantasy there. It's all right.
I will say, like, I think the best thing the show has going for it is the banter between those two main characters, Sakata and Mai, because they're really flirty with each other, and they are like really match each other well on like an emotional intelligence level. They both understand when they're being sarcastic and stuff, and like they both kind of like rib each other back and forth really well. Like, and so that makes them like enjoyable to watch as like a couple. And like, yeah, things are kind of like moving pretty fast with them, and they're being pretty open with each other, and so that's all like pretty refreshing. But yeah, like, I don't know, like I think he's probably going to meet more girls. He's probably going to meet more girls whose problems he needs to solve. And we'll see. I think generally it seems like he's going to be set up to have Mai as his love interest, but who knows if like there'll be a love triangle that will form or something. The animation and character designs are all generally pretty good, so nothing to complain about there. But yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could see us covering this. We may not, but it's decent.
It's at least one of the more interesting things this season, for sure, I would say. Like, it is well written, it's, like, snappy, and it's, like, moving at a fast pace. So, yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, that's the impression for the next episode. Next show.
So, My Sister, My Writer, which is also known as Ore ga suki nano wa imoto dake no imoto janai. This is a light novel, obviously. Studio NAZ, who recently did Angomoi and also Hajimete no Gal. And another studio, like a co-studio, like Magia Doraglie, who has done nothing ever before. This is the first thing they've ever done. The director is Hiroyuki Furukawa, who also did Hajimete no Gal, and like My Wife is a Student Council President. And yeah, this is just ultra discount Super Saver Arrow Manga Sensei. Like, the art and animation of this show is so bad. Like, it's an open joke on the internet.
Why did
right
you
now.
honestly even start watching this?
Because, Leo, we watched all of Arrow Manga Sensei. We drank our way through it. Don't you remember?
There was a reason we got through it.
Arrow Manga Sensei was entertaining. I watched it and I wasn't bored. This is
real boring. Yeah. Like, the best thing you could say about this show is that, like, the sister, like, openly wants her brother, but, like, is secretive about it, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's only going for 10 episodes, though, and it looks like they are barely able to produce the first 2 without, like, glaring animation errors and terrible character art. And, like, the women in this anime, they, like, introduce themselves to the main character by having him, like, grope their breasts. Like, his manager's like, please grab onto my breast. I know you're a virgin. Like, so this will help with your writing. And, like, another girl, like, has him, like, the illustrator for his little sister's light novel that so the whole point is, like, the little sister wants her brother to pretend that he is the author of her light novel that she wrote. God. Because she doesn't, like, want to be in the public eye, basically, and stuff. And so...
Please take credit for my achievements for me, Oni-san.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
I can't bear the weight of success on my pretty...
If it was me.
I can't bear the weight of success on my girly shoulders. Only you can bear this.
So, yeah. And so because of that, he gets to meet all of these, like, hot chicks who are involved in the light novel production industry. And yeah, it's just like a little harem, and it's dumb. And his sister's too afraid to tell him that she's, like, totally in love with him. And it's boring as hell, but at least it's only 10 episodes. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's short. Interesting. Oh.
All right. Let's move on to the next fluffy show, which is As Miss Beelzebub Likes.
Oh.
It's very, very fluffy.
It's the fluffiest show ever.
Yeah, this As Miss Beelzebub Likes, this reminds me of, like, Hozoki no Reitatsu in premise, but it's so different in everything else that I had to kind of do a double take on that. Because I think Leo wrote, like, everything is fluffy. Like, even the art is fluffy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how else to describe the art. It's interesting. This is mostly, like, a bunch of shorts cobbled together into episodes. It's very romance-based. It's like this chick named Beelzebub who is running hell in Satan's place while he's gone. And her, like, attendant...
Except hell looks like the height of gardens from the Victorian era.
Yeah. And her attendant who's, like, in love with her and is tsundere.
Muling.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I'll just say, like, this is a manga, Studio Leiden Films. The director is the director of Akashic Records of Bastard Magical Instructor. But yeah, like Kat said, like, this is the fluffiest show ever. Like, if you thought that K-On! Was fluffy, or, like, Is the Order a Rabbit was fluffy, like, this show will literally kill you. Like, you're gonna have Fua Fua Doki Doki Overload, and it's just gonna kill you. But everything in the show is, like, as cute as humanly possible.
You could put it on in the background while you, like, do something else, like wash the dishes, but, like, I would not sit down and give this your full attention. It's not that kind of show. It's like the kind of show you put on in the background and like don't pay much attention to. It's like the anime and chill show.
Yeah, and I didn't even like the jokes. And like some of the jokes was like the guy reacting, but then like after watching Asobi Asobase, I'm just like, your guys' reactions are weak as fuck. This is not cool. Not funny at all. Yeah, like Kat's already said, I thought this is extremely light, very cute, very fluffy. And just like after I watched that first episode, as a grown-ass man, I'm now under investigation to have my man card revoked after watching this. Because what the fuck am I doing watching this? And then I saw Bcom.
Well, it's pretty ecchi too, though. That's the thing. Like,
it is.
Especially the first episode.
She's naked a lot.
There is, yeah.
She's naked a lot.
But
yeah.
Then I saw Bcom's notes, and I just completely steered clear of episode 2. And I'm like, I'm not fucking watching that.
Episode 2 introduces this demon named Belphegor, who is voiced by Misaki Kuno, who voiced the little girl Shio in Happy Sugar Life.
No!
And I have a lot of PTSD from that voice right now. So when they introduce her as this character who has such like bad social anxiety that she just has to keep running to the bathroom and peeing like every 5 seconds, I was just like, I can't do this. I can't do this right now. This is ridiculous. She literally, I guess that's a spoiler, so I shouldn't say what she did at the end of Happy Sugar Life, but like she did some crazy shit at the end of that show that I still haven't gotten out of my brain. But yeah, like it's this weird mix of fluffy, ecchi stuff that I don't know. It's like I think this is a nice show to just like chill out with.
Yeah,
but
maybe
it's not something we would cover. Like I don't think so. Yeah,
you definitely wouldn't take it seriously or anything like that either.
And they're definitely not taking like the premise and running with the comedy of the situation in a way that I thought they would. Because it's like there are all these demons in hell, but they're really fluffy and cute and nice. And it's like okay. Like, but like they haven't done any like real comedy bits with that stuff yet. Like, I don't know. Maybe they will, but not so far.
Yeah.
So speaking of very cute, fluffy, and nice, banana fish.
Yay!
Which is everything but none of those.
Yeah.
Woo-wee.
So Leo, tell us how this anime has picked up with the second half.
Well, you guys thought, what was it? Episode, I think 11 was just going way too fast. And you're like, oh, so much is going on. And then 12 happened. And I was like, no, enough's happening. And now we're back to all kinds of shit's going down again.
Yeah, a lot of shit went down. Yeah.
So we learned Arthur got scars on his fingers from a territory fight with Ash. Arthur lost and he tried to shoot Ash as he walked away, but Ash still got the upper hand on him and then slashed his fingers across so he'd never be able to like pull the trigger. But then he can... he can hold a knife. I'm very confused by this. If he wanted to, you would cut the ligaments on the inside of the hand in his palm. On the back of his hand, that opens your fingers. So that cut does nothing. I don't know what that was about. That's just maybe the writer not knowing anatomy.
Or maybe
very
it was
well.
deep enough. I don't know, but yeah, it was weird.
Oh my god, if it was that deep, he was going through bone. He's just cutting the fingers off at that point.
True.
So, that's not the only thing they get wrong with physics. Wait till the next episode.
Oh God, yeah.
So, Ash and Arthur meet with Kane, who's going to supervise their match, make sure nobody cheats. They go down into the underground subway, and Singh shows up. He's the new leader for the Chinese. He replaced Shorter. He just wants to watch it, really. We obviously know Arthur's going to do something dirty, and he somehow got a hold of a subway train, and he has it pull up, and all his men are like shooting out the windows, guns blazing. Singh manages to get Ash's gun back to him so he can fight back, and he's fucking crazy with it. Eventually, Kane's men and Singh's men show up, and Arthur has to like retreat, but not before Ash jumps onto the subway train. Then, Jesus Christ, this is insane. Ash continues killing Arthur's men at an alarming rate and shoots out the lights when they try to get him like in a pincer attack. And since they're on the ground, it's like
so many people.
Dude, my final note is like, so like Ash just murdered 50 people, I think.
And with like the same gun, his revolver that has like 6 bullets in it, and that he never reloads once.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
And if he had those bullets on him, his pockets would have been fucking bulging. Jesus Christ.
He would have looked like fucking Rambo.
Yeah. But taking out the lights allows him to kill a couple more and actually take a moment to rest. But Arthur's just waiting for the train to come out of the underground and the morning light to allow his guys to see again. That doesn't help. Ash still kills all of them and corners Arthur. He doesn't shoot him and instead challenges him to one more knife fight. The train stops at Coney Island and they get out to fight on the tracks. And like during the fight, Kane and Singh's gangs show up. And like then there's like a whole bunch of like bystanders. They're at Coney Island. I think I said that. Even Eiji makes it there to watch the fight. And like Ash eventually wins and Arthur dies. But the cops knew what was going on and show up in like a mass to arrest all the gangs and Ash himself, who collapses from his wounds. There was also like a bunch of sappy stuff with Eiji because Ash is making him go to Japan, which was just kind of like randomly thrown in there when I don't know, I guess you got bored with the train scenes.
Yeah, it didn't really seem like he needed to go to Japan in that situation. I was like, I'm not really sure why he's being sent back. There's not like any urgent need.
Well,
like,
as Ash yells at the end, I didn't want you to see me like this.
And I'm just like, okay,
I was so
are you like
angry when
teenage
Eiji
girl?
yelled out to Ash because it distracted him in the middle of a knife fight.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was going to happen, and it did. It was like, shit.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah, it's also the wound.
Yeah, no.
It was also the abdomen wound that was like really fucks him up, which sets up the next episode. So our next episode, Ash needs surgery from his knife wound to the gut, and they give him a 50% chance of making it through. We know he will. Meanwhile, in jail.
Well, but I'm like, why would it be 50% from like a gut wound? Maybe it's like a major artery. It just didn't seem like a big.
They mentioned something
deal.
specific that got cut.
Okay,
it's like his perineum, which is like it protects your abdominal like organs. Like usually you would bleed out if you got cut that deep, but he has body made of iron, says the doctor.
He's made of steel.
So,
yeah.
Meanwhile, in jail, Yutlong has shown up and gets Singh and Eiji released. Then he openly kidnaps Eiji in front of the police station. I was like, what?
Wouldn't they see like from the police station and be like, something's going on? Like,
he
that
literally
was weird.
walks down the steps, and then the bodyguards just roughly handle him and throw him in the car.
And he's like, let go, and like they throw him. I'm like, how are the police not coming? Like,
yeah, it was something.
It was bad.
They go back to Lee's place, and Singh sees that Lee has given his brother Hua something banana fish, and basically, leaves him in that zombie-like comatose state. Yutlong then informs Eiji of Ash's operation and that Dino is on his way back and will likely have something done to Ash while he's in his weakened state. Yutlong also expresses like his hatred for Eiji because he complains about something like Eiji either makes people really love him or really hate him, and he hates that about him, or I don't know. I wasn't really getting the gist of what he was going at, but whatever. After Ash wakes up, the show decides to throw some comedy at us.
That was kind of funny.
First, he's accosted by 4 lovely nurses because he is handsome, and they want to help him with using the bathroom. Basically, they want to be able to see his dick.
Essentially, yeah.
They then like have a psychologist or something come in and has him take an IQ test, and then like Ash messes with them at one point about a question because it's like it's a misprint or something. Then you recognize it because Ash is very smart. He ends up scoring like an IQ of 180. But it turned out this was the work of like that general and that senator that met with Dino, and they decided they need to off Ash or it would be the end for them. So they get an assassin to pretend to be a nurse and try to inject something into his IV. Ash is awake though and knows it's not one of the nurses it was earlier. He knows because he met the 4 nurses that were going to take the shifts. But later on he says it's because there was no smell coming from the assassin because the assassin wants to leave no trace they were there. So like he's like every nurse smells like antiseptic. What one doesn't? Right. He ends up fighting her off, and like cop outside guarding comes in, and then like the nurse shoots him, and then like Ash ends up overpowering her, and he's like trying to figure out who hired her, and then like she's got like a cyanide pill or something in her mouth, and she kills herself off.
Hardcore.
Yeah. Which
so
I was like, I just don't get like the whole trope of, and then the assassin kills themselves off, and I'm just like, what Like, I don't think assassins in real life would do that unless they're part of like a cult or something.
Have you seen James Bond?
Be like extremely indoctrinated. Yeah.
So the senator then decides to let a Dr. Mannerheim take care of Ash for him. The two detectives that are originally on the case get taken off and replaced by two agents from the FBI. These two guys then transport Ash to a mental health facility, and that's where he meets this doctor. Then also Max wants to publish a story about Banana Fish and what Ash uncovered when like he stole that money from Dino's businesses and stuff to kind of like take him down. And then the episode just ends with the news saying that Ash died after being transported to the facility. And Aishi's like staring at the TV like, no, not Ash. And that's that episode, man. I mean, geez.
Not Ash. That's funny.
So episode 14 had a new OP and ED also.
I did notice that.
The OP was kind of fun, except for like the I was laughing at like the chorus because it was like it's basically from Ash's point of view talking to Eiji. It's telling him like, get away from me, get away from Dark Nightmare. It's just like it's like, yep, that's pretty accurate actually. Your life is a dark nightmare, Ash.
Yeah.
I'm still enjoying this series greatly. I think it's
I
pretty
am
good.
too. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought some of that stuff on the subway train in episode 13 was just super dumb. Like there was parts where like Ash was like running away from people with guns on the train, and there's nowhere for him to go, and they just keep running after him instead of trying to shoot him. It's just like, just shoot him. Like he's running straight down a subway train car. I don't know. It was just dumb, but
you can't read too much into that.
Yeah.
He kills so many guys. It's insane.
Oh my God. So you know how when we announce a show and Kat's really excited about it, and she's always going, yes, yes, yes. I'm going to do it for the next one too.
Zombie Land Saga.
Yes.
Woo,
it's so good.
This fucking show.
So it's original anime from Studio Mappa. The director is Munahisa Sakai, who directed Sailor Moon Crystal, One Piece episodes like 243 to 372, and one of the Precure shows, Sweet Precure. So pretty good director.
Interesting change in tone from like Sailor Moon Crystal to this.
Just a bit.
So, all right, this is the gist of the show. It's an idol show where the girls are idols brought back from the dead and have been made into an idol group by their manager. Their manager is awesome. He's a pretty good voice actor, but you can tell like he's having a lot of fun voicing him and just going crazy.
It's Mamoru Miyano, and he voiced like Rintaro Okabe in Steins Gate. Famous for his like, I am mad scientist, son of a bitch. Like, so, and he's basically at that level of like crazy for this entire show.
It's fantastic. So what it does is it follows the problems with being a zombie as an idol. Like body parts falling off and the fact that they look like freaking zombies. Fortunately, their manager has like some of the most mad makeup skills and gets them all dolled up before they perform. The best part being, what really got me is they don't do your typical idol songs. Mm-hmm. They like start off accidentally doing metal. And I was like, this is cool as shit. I thought they were going to keep up with that. Then we got into episode 2 and they start rapping. And I'm blown away. They have a
rap battle, and it's so ridiculous.
It's so good. Even the subtitles for it, they kept up with the rhyming. So that's
they did a really good job with subtitles. I didn't think about that.
That's kudos to you.
Yeah, kudos with that. Yeah. There's one line you liked a lot.
Oh my God, the one line. Oh, what's her name? I didn't bring up Mal before this.
The main character?
No, it's the punk one. She's the blonde.
I don't remember. She's got the blonde hair. I forget what her name is too. Yeah.
But she has this line. She's talking to the main character. Like her head like reminds her of her Tamagotchi. She's like, I bet my Tamagotchi is dead now. And I just fucking lost it because I just imagined this like, what did they, she wasn't a gang boss. What did they call her? Call that type of character.
A delinquent or something, or I don't know, but
yeah, like a delinquent, but she's like a leader of a gang, and I can just imagine her playing with her Tamagotchi, and just for whatever reason, I bet my Tamagotchi is dead now. Just fucking slayed me. God, it blew me away. But it's so funny. I love this show so much.
I have a conspiracy theory about
amazing.
this show, or about the origins of this show. My conspiracy theory is that since it's also from Studio Mappa, who did Rage of Bahamut, they realized how popular Zombie Girl Rita was from Rage of Bahamut, and they were like, let's make an entire show about cute moe zombie girls.
And it is an original, so you may be on to something. Oh, and the blonde girl is Saki. She's pretty funny.
Okay,
yeah. And just all their weird antics, like in the beginning of the first episode, like they went to like your generic horror film soundboard playlist, and it was just threw a whole bunch of that in there, and just so it's like that. This is just this really cool setup, and then just gets goofy as hell, dude. And then like I was very impressed by the rapping in the second episode. They even had like the cop rapping at one point, and I was like, whoa. I did not see that coming. You blew me away.
That was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Kat,
yeah.
What do you think, Kat?
Yeah. It is so fucking amazing. Oh my god. So, like, I love all of the voices. The manager is hilarious. Like, every second that the manager is on the screen is like a second where you're bursting out laughing. The policemen also, I don't know how the skits with the policemen are as funny as they are, but they fucking are. They're hilarious. Like, I love like his attitude. Like, at one point there's like 3 dudes that are trying to pick up these like zombie chicks, and they don't know that they're zombie chicks.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, hey, yo, and they're like rapping at them, and then like he's like, oh, and the policeman like raps back at the dudes. It's epic. Awesome. I don't know. I've never seen something like that. The music, every like all the music is amazing. I love how they changed the atmosphere. Like in the first performance, they do metal, and then in the second one, it's hip hop, and both of them are amazing performances.
Yeah,
like, and they're both hilarious.
Beatboxing during the rap.
Yeah,
and it's so fucking great. Like, his voice acting is like out there on the level with the voice actors from Asobi Asobase. Like, he is just yelling into the mic, just fucking giving it all. He's got having one hell of a time. Like, if he was in that one, he would have been right in place. And even just like Yugiri, the big boobed one, she busts out like a sitar or something and starts. So like that's part of like the music with his beatboxing during the rap battle. And I'm like, this is some cool ass shit. I thought it was fantastic, dude.
Speaking of voice acting, the main girl is voiced by Kaede Hondo, who was the one who voiced Minoa from Anime Guitaris, who we loved like a few seasons back and everything. So like, she's great. Like, yeah, they're all great. Like, it's awesome. Like, I liked that. I was worried in the first episode that they were gonna like maintain their zombie personalities for a long time, but by episode 2, every one of the other girls has snapped out of it, except for the one who just
Yamada.
The one who is so good.
Yeah,
because she's like.
What's interesting, she didn't get a voice actor until just the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. They just had her as like a bitey like zombie for a long time.
Oh, and like the comment of like, she keeps biting me is made by like 2 or 3 different characters randomly. I just don't know. It's just funny.
They keep like chasing. It's so funny because like the girls will be like lounging around, and like one of them will be the one who is being chased around by Tai like the entire night. Like the other girls are just like, this is normal. We're not even gonna help.
Yeah, I love how at one point she's like, well, the biting does kind of suck, but you get used to it.
Yeah, because like some of the girls are trying to leave, right? Just trying to convince them not to.
And I also love the part in the second performance where like her head comes off and they're like, oh, it's so fun, and they're like playing the girl who used to be a gangster is like playing with it and like having
Saki.
it come off and put it back on.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the main girl is like, they're gonna notice that we're zombies if you keep doing it. It's amazing.
And the old people in the audience are just like, oh, this is so entertaining. We don't even take it at face value.
Even
at
when
all.
Ty's head's like biting the old man, they're all just like, whoa.
It's like incredible magic trick. So yeah, I'm loving this too. Like definitely up there with the tops this season for sure.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to watching more of this show.
All right.
It's the one anime idol show that I will say I like.
Damn. Have you ever watched Idolmaster? You know what? Never mind. We don't need to know.
No, I never have.
That's the other one I would recommend. It's really good. But yeah. All right, let's move on. Bakumatsu, airing on Crunchyroll. This is based off a smartphone otome game, which was released in March 2017 in Japan. And it's being animated by Studio Dean. The director is Masaki Watanabe, who directed Kato the Right Answer and
Never finished that.
I noticed some like kind of similarities with Kato the Right Answer when I was watching this, because like at first it just seemed like a generic like period piece about like samurai or something, or like not even samurai, but like traditional like Meiji Restoration era like swordsmen. And then it was like, oh, but there's time travel. And I was like, okay, this is kind of like Kato the Right Answer then. Like it's like a little weird sci-fi aspect to it. Like the whole MacGuffin of the show is that there is a pocket watch that allows its user to travel through time and in essence like control the world, because they can like, whenever something goes wrong, they can change like the timeline and like reset things to however they want, sort of. And so, like, the main two characters that we're first introduced to are these two guys from, like, the Meiji Restoration period who get thrown into a timeline where the Meiji Restoration never happens, and instead, the Tokugawa shogunate is, like, followed by something called the Tensho shogunate instead. One thing I'll say about the show, the animation is pretty poor. Like, this is back to, like, Studio Dean's bad animation. It's not fun to look at. But I will say, like, the second episode was a bit more fun than the first, because we get into, like, a bunch of shenanigans with this new character. By the way, all the characters are, like, historical figures. So this new character, Susumu Yamazaki, is, like, sneaking into this castle in Kyoto in, like, this weird alt future where, like, the castle has been taken over by this, like, evil guy named Mugensai who has the pocket watch. And he's, like, taken captive like the last Tokugawa emperor, like Yoshinobu Tokugawa. And like, so Susumu like hooks up with these two like young shinobi girls and like works to sneak into the castle. And there's like some shenanigans where like the two shinobi girls are like standing on each other's shoulders to pretend to be like a tall guy and stuff. It's like a fun little like caper plot, you know? And then meanwhile, like the main character is just fighting this Mugensai guy, or like trying to like ruin his plans because he's gone forward in time to like 1852 France or something. And he's like stolen this technology for like hydrogen airships and is going to use it to like take over the world for Japan. And so he's like cutting the balloons open and letting the hydrogen like leak out and then like blowing up the castle, and like you think he's done something, but then Mugensai is just like, well, I have this pocket watch so I can just roll back time, nothing you just did matters whatsoever. And so everything kind of gets rolled back. I don't know, in general I was pretty underwhelmed by this show. It's not necessarily bad, it's just not good. I don't know, like that's where I'm at with this. I don't know if anybody else watched it.
I did not.
I didn't either. I was like, no. Yeah. I looked at the ratings on my anime list and was like, I don't need to watch this.
Yeah, pretty much.
6.27.
Yeah, that's not too good, right?
Is it? When I looked at it, it was like a 5 something. So it's going down.
So it's, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever. I'm just not that hooked into it. It's kind of weird because apparently in the Otome game, like there's like a main female character who's like traveling around romancing all of these guys in a dating sim fashion, but she's nowhere to be found in this anime adaptation so far. So I don't know how that even fits into these things.
It sounds like the every season there has to be one shit Otome anime. Like one that they make that's like bullshit and everyone knows it's made terribly, but like some people watch it. It's that one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We've got Merc StoriA, the apathetic boy and the girl in a bottle.
I'll just say right off the bat, we are the wrong audience for this show.
Yeah, this show skews a little young for our tastes, probably. It's airing on Crunchyroll. It's based on an online free-to-play RPG smartphone game released in 2014 in Japan. And the studio making it is Encourage Films, who's made like little things like Erotama, Love Kome, We Love Rice, and like Hitori Jime My Hero before.
I have not heard of anything on their list.
I watched like one episode of the We Love Rice show. it was pretty dumb. It was pretty boys who were rice, different types of grains of rice. It was weird.
I think I kind of remember
2 seasons.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. And the director is Fumitoshi Oizaki, who's directed things like Achikochi, Aono Kanata no 4 Rhythm, and Erotama also. So, yeah, it's like
boring.
It's like not Pokemon, kind of. I don't know. It's like the main boy can
like
heal monsters.
You can't focus. It's like you heal them, which is nice. Like it's better than Pokemon, which is like fight monsters against each other, which is kind of fucked up if you think about it. But it's boring. Like it's not terrible. It's just like you, as an adult, if you watch this, you will not be able to stay interested.
Right.
There's not enough here. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, the premise is a boy named Yu who lives in a world where monsters attack humans unless they have been healed by a healer. Yu is a healer who also has like a water spirit companion who lives in a jar and floats around with them, and like then the two just set out on adventures. It's just kind of kiddie. There's not much to it.
Yeah, and I didn't like this little girl. Like, she ends every sentence with either desu or desuyo or unyu, like all these like cute little noises and stuff. It's like, ugh. And it was just like that combined with the aggressive squeaking noises of the totally not Pikachu sidekick thing it's just too much. It's too much for me.
Like, he's like deathly afraid of all the monsters. So like
he's
the
also
little
a total
cute thing,
wimp.
he's like, as it tries to like rub up against him. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a little weird.
Yeah, this just couldn't keep my attention span. Anyway. All right, should we move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, last show we're covering today, Karakuri Circus, which is on Amazon Prime streaming. The source is a manga, and the studio is Studio Voln, who also did Ushio Totora.
You can tell because the design is very, very similar, if not the exact same.
Yeah, I think it's the same manga writer. I'm not positive about that though. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
And the director Satoshi Nishimura also directed Trigun, Ushio Totora, Hajime no Ippo, among other things. And also note the OP is performed by Bump of Chicken. They do a really good job. I like Bump of Chicken a lot. So yeah. Leo, why don't you tell us about this?
So to kind of summarize it, yes, you are right. The manga artist is the same person.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So Masaru is a young boy who just recently inherited his father's immense fortune, and these marionettes go after him, and that's when he runs into Narumi. He's like acting as a mascot. And Narumi is protecting him the best he can, but can't really do too much against the puppets. And then at one point, Masaru was told by his late grandfather to go to a nearby circus if his father suddenly died, and strange things started happening. And that's when a subway train they were on derails, and then that's when they run into Shirogane, who's very attractive, and she has like a marionette of her own and defeats the other puppet. And dude, I love these puppet designs. They look cool as shit.
They do look super cool, and they're extremely well animated when they're fighting. Like, that's the standout of this show, is like how freaking well animated those fights are.
And the first episode was like almost nonstop action.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
I would love it if they keep this up. And they still kind of, they didn't like, not to that level in episode 2, but there still was definitely plenty of action.
Mm-hmm.
Into the second episode, they start doing like a mother and father dynamic between Narumi and Shirogane.
Yeah, that was cute.
I really kind of liked it, and I really hope they stick with it because it's really cool. And like Narumi's already kind of falling for her because he's like, yeah, we don't get along, but damn, she's hot.
He's like, I'll give her that. She's super hot.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm having pretty good high hopes. Only second to Attack on Titan. I believe this might possibly become our second longest running show we've ever covered. We've also never really done shonen.
Yeah, we've had like a shonen drought for a while. So I'm kind of itching to do a shonen, and this one is really good.
Yeah, this one could definitely take the cake for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really liked the second episode a lot because it got into like Masaru's family situation. Like his mother was a mistress who died, and then when she died, he was basically adopted into the family by his father. And then 3 years later, his father also died, which leaves him in this position where he's sort of on the run because members of his family, probably who he doesn't even know, are coming after him for his father's inheritance. And there's like at least one faction that has hired like puppeteers to kill him, and another faction that has hired them to like kidnap him. So there's like competing factions going after him.
I want to say
this part. Oh, sorry, Leo. What's up?
I want to say something interesting about the marionette or puppet that Shirogane uses. It's been damaged previously, apparently, because it's missing an arm, and like its mask, its like left eye is like missing. Like it's been like chipped away, and so there's a history here. We know that, so that's really cool. And like I said, the design of that puppet in particular looks badass. Even the other two we've seen, they're unique or like really crazy, like kind of jester looking type deals. They're cool, and the action's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, and the other thing going on with Narumi, like the big strong guy, is he has this weird condition with his parasympathetic nervous system where he has these attacks that happen every once in a while, and the only way he can cure them is if he can make somebody laugh. And when he makes somebody laugh, like he like calms down, his body relaxes, but if he doesn't, like it'll keep happening and he'll eventually just die from these attacks.
Yeah, they explain his condition starts choking his airway.
Yeah. And he's absolutely terrible at making people laugh.
Yeah, he's pretty
which
bad.
Is really bad.
You also have the part about how him and Masaru started bonding because Narumi was a huge wimp also when he was a child.
Yeah, he shows
but now he's like a fucking JoJo character.
Yeah, he's become strong, but like he can't help but be like really moved by Masaru's like backstory and how he like Masaru's like I don't even want the inheritance from my rich dad. Like all I wanted was to build like a nice grave for my mother who passed away, and like he has to like turn away from him and cry, and yeah, it's really adorable. I'm very curious to learn more about Shirogane's backstory.
Yeah, the only thing we know is that Masaru's grandfather saved her and her mother one time in France, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. I believe she's supposed to be French, so
she has a really cool character design too. I really like her eyes, her hair, like it's really cool. And then she's got
silver
this like
on silver.
Yeah, silver and silver, I guess. I don't know. I like it. And then of course she has that like skin tight like bodysuit, which shows off like her whole body, which is very nice. And
it's her circus costume.
Cool. Yeah, basically. So yeah, I guess that's it for the first half of shows. We wanted to stop here because otherwise we'd be talking forever.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't want to bore you too much.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. And we will see you guys next time.
Yeah, we'll be back next week with the second half. See ya.
Peace.